Right, here we are at LSE, London School of Economics and Political Science. It's where I came to university and studied anthropology in the 80s. From this, we formed the Admiral Byng Committee, ABC. We've gathered a wonderful collection of LSE alumni, and I am an alumna. And these wonderful people have supported me in my campaign. So it is our campaign, the Admiral Byng Campaign. We also have Byng descendants, hailing from Admiral John Byng's brothers and sisters. They support us all of 261 years ago, from the deed when Admiral Byng was executed. We have a wonderful collection of legal minds, judges, barristers, and several are deceased, too, and some are retired and some are practicing. But tonight, this evening, for our Admiral Byng Committee meeting at LSE, His Honour Peter Cowell is bringing his wig with him. His wig is a symbol of justice, and we would like to show you close up what the symbol of justice looks like. In anthropology, we learn about symbols and signs and how important they are in communities and societies. We have adapted this wig that barristers wear, and we would like to show you. Tom Pine, you've recently got a doctorate. Tell me very briefly what it is.
Well, my doctorate is in crisis leadership, which is why it's sort of got some relevance to the matter in hand.
That's why we've got you on our team. Dr. Pine is part of the LSE alumni team, and he is supporting Admiral Byng Campaign. Tell us why you're supporting him.
Well, all the characteristics of what happened to Admiral Byng nearly 300 years ago are still to be found today. When we have a crisis in modern times, exactly the same scapegoating of an individual takes place, and it's in preference to actually getting to the root cause of the problem, which would then embarrass the elite policymakers. So they always go for an individual if they can.
That's excellent. We've got the right man on board. Thank you very much, Tom. We have another member of the LSE alumni team, Ken Venables. I very imaginatively knighted him at a Christmas party, so we call him Sir Ken. Ken, why have you joined Admiral Byng Campaign?
Well, I think Admiral Byng was the victim of a great injustice. He was definitely scapegoated to cover other people's mistakes in the main. There was also a lot of legal difficulties with that case. I think if it was reviewed today, obviously it would be completely exonerated. And I think there's been a shadow over the family over the decades ever since he was executed, and I think it's a shadow that should be justly removed.
Can you tell me what got you to support us? You know, how did I encourage you? What made you?
Well, apart from the knighthood, where you touched me on each shoulder with a Christmas cracker, aside from that, I just think it's a worthy cause. There are some interesting people involved in it as well, and I think it's something that should be a thing that should be remedied.
We have another member of the LSE alumni team, Sue Ferrar. She studied anthropology in the department, 6th floor, just behind us here. And I too am anthropology. Anthropology covers a wide spectrum of humanity, and it is the reason why we came to LSE. Sue, can you tell us why you are supporting Admiral Byng Committee?
Really because of my lasting connection with Fane, fellow artists in this cruel world, and in the interests of truth and historical justice, historical balance being brought about with any luck. Okay, I think that's about it.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your connection with your past, how your ancestry matters to you?
Well, the Ferrars they're a funny family. Nicholas Ferrar, it's the 4th today, isn't it? Yeah, it's Nicholas Ferrar Day today. This is the day that Nicholas Ferrar died in 1647, I think. No, 1637, saying that he had been at a feast, the great king's feast. So my family are steeped in the traditions of Little Gidding, of hospitality, of truth. Nicholas Ferrar was a good friend of George Herbert. They published each other's poetry. George Herbert's posthumously, and then George Herbert had arranged for Nicholas's to be published posthumously as well. I'm not quite sure how he did that. And then more recently, my grandfather, the naval connection, my grandfather was with Scott on Discovery, 1901 to 4, on the first Antarctic voyage, the National Antarctic Expedition. My dad was in the Navy. He joined in 1937 as a submarine officer. So, yes, that's my background.
Felix Byng, very, very pleased to meet you. And through Arthur Byng, I've met you. Can you tell me the connection with you and Arthur?
Well, Arthur's my grandfather, and I was down this weekend, and he pointed out that this was going on, and he also said that you said anyone was welcome to come along. So I've always been slightly interested in Admiral Byng, and I sometimes reference the fact that actually near my university there was a building called Byng Place, and it's quite entertaining for me because obviously I have the name Byng, but I don't think I'm a relation properly, or at least the areas, the waters are very murky. So I'm just really curious to see more about what's going on with the campaign, and to find out more about him as an individual as well.
Fine. It's really good to have somebody young, because we really need any ideas and unusual avenues you might come up with at the meeting. Never know, you might hit the jackpot.
I might.
We have Sarah Saunders-Davis, who is a descendant of Admiral Byng's sister, Sarah. And after 261 years, we have another Sarah standing in front of LSE, where we have collected our alumni team. Sarah is part of the Byng Descendants team, and she's going to read a statement to you.
My name is Sarah Saunders-Davis. I'm named after Admiral Byng's sister Sarah, and I am her direct descendant. The Honourable Sarah Byng married John Osborne, Esquire of Chicksands Priory, Shefford in Bedfordshire, which was the next door estate to South Hill Park, the seat of the Torrington family. Sarah faced many tragedies during her long life. The loss of her brother John was deeply distressing. Her exhaustive efforts to plead for his life are well documented. The Admiral's last letter to her thanked her for all she had tried to do for him, which is testament to her zeal and courage. I'm proud to share her name and to take up the cause for which she strives so hard to seek clemency for her politically scapegoated brother. Justice must be seen to be done.
We have a member of the Byng family, Byng-Maddock, He has supported us since 2007, and please tell us why you're supporting Admiral Byng Committee and Campaign.
I have known from an early age that I was related to the Admiral, but I never really knew the story until a client of mine, when I was still working, rang me up and told me that her brother-in-law was an antique dealer and sold me a copy of the transcript of the whole trial, which got me deeply interested in the whole story, which I then researched in detail at the British Library, and since then have felt very committed to the transgressions that took place that led to his death. And since then I've been disappointed by the media, in which he's been talked of as a coward, because the people doing it, like Dan Snow, have not taken the trouble to find out what really happened. And because of that, I feel very committed to getting the truth about why he was shot and how he came to be shot. And it was that it was a conspiracy against him. And that's why I feel strongly that we should do something about it, even though it's 260 years later.
I would like to say how much Chris looks like Admiral Byng. He has the same features, which is quite phenomenal after
nose.
261 years.
Well, you see my nose in profile, but
I'd like to introduce His Honour Peter Cowell. He has come to support us through Nigel Pascoe, who's unfortunately unable to be with us today. He's not well. Through Nigel Pascoe, we have collected the most amazing support through several barristers, several judges, and today at our Admiral Byng Committee meeting, we're very fortunate to have Peter supporting us. I'd like to ask you, what made you give your time and expertise to us?
There are two things that struck me. One was that the government of the day were determined to make a scapegoat of him. And so when he, Admiral Byng, sent a dispatch from somewhere in the Mediterranean, it was published in the London Gazette, but crucial parts of it were omitted. Even a statement in which he said, "I am going to cover Gibraltar," that was altered with the word cover omitted. So it read, "I am going to Gibraltar." And there were many other things that were omitted from it. The other matter which has greatly intrigued me is that for a few centuries now, people have been apt to assume that the judges answered a particular question against him, a very important question which showed a flaw in the decision. But the documents which are in the National Archives and a printed book also in the archives makes it quite clear that the crucial point that had arisen was not sent by the Privy Council and the King to the judges for their decision. And then when the book was printed, it was made to appear that they had been asked. That was all in the same part of the same campaign to make him a scapegoat. And those are the two things that have intrigued me most. The redaction of what he wrote and the determination by the Privy Council and the King not to alert the judges to what was the crucial point in his favour. Thank you. I went back a second time looking for the order that was given to the judges, which would have shown what they were asked to consider. And when I went back the second time, it dawned on me that it simply wasn't there. And it simply wasn't printed either. And the only clue we have as to what was in it was in what the judges themselves said, and they only refer to one document that was sent to them. And that document did not include the vital point that was in favour of Admiral Byng. And I inferred from that that the Privy Council were absolutely determined that the point should never be put to the judges. It was too risky from their point of view, and so they omitted it completely. But that, in short, is what it's about, and only appeared to be at all clear when I looked at the documents themselves and the printed book. Anyway, thank you very much.
What prompted you to find the printed book? How did you find it?
There were two references which I found somewhere, and I ordered both documents, and the first were the manuscript documents, and the second was the printed book. And when I first saw the documents, the point didn't occur to me. I went home. Actually, I was on the phone to Nigel Pascoe, and I looked at the preamble of the judge's decision, and it occurred to me, well, they haven't been sent the crucial document. But
Are we willing to call it a judicial assassination?
Probably not. I'm not entirely happy about that, because the new judges were brought in
Okay.
until very late.
Okay, then we'll call it an assassination.
An assassination.
These are the judges.
Yes. It was a public assassination because the entire country was entirely prejudiced against him by the other thing that was put in, I think, the London Gazette. I'm not referring to the redacted, that Pope deals with it in his book. That there was an entirely mendacious account that was set up.
And if this case had happened 20 years ago and it came up for review now, it would be thrown straight out.
Absolutely.
On about 20
Yes.
different grounds.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone willing to offer that beginning sentence for our MPs?
Well,
How
first of
do
all,
we
they've got a
start?
very limited attention span, so...
Yes, that's why we want just 3 points. And Peter's said we ought to appendage the 2 pages.